we can think about the things that I discussed last session. And do you have that document, Nicole, that you can share on the screen? That document that I sent out?
Yes, I have.
Would you kindly share that?
Yep.
So the idea is an understanding that we are a whole being. It's several systems working together. Our emotions have an impact. Our hormones have an impact in our health. We have to keep many things on our focus in order to create a balance in our well-being. Well, we have, as humans, homeostasis, which is a natural mechanism of the nervous system to equilibrate. So it equilibrates our temperature, our heartbeat, our metabolic functions. Everything is being coordinated to be in balance the whole time. So from understanding homeostasis, we understand that the human body knows to create some degree of equilibration, of balance. And we need to be conscious of this so that we can help our system to do what it does best. So paying attention to the flora, the pH, the hydration, hormones and liver function, sleep, diet, lifestyle, emotions and liver function, and finding ways to calm our nervous system. We are contributing to our own natural capacity to maintain balance in our lives. So when we think about the floras, let's start with number one, the idea of the floras, the urinary tract, the respiratory tract, the digestive tract. What are the concerns? Well, first and foremost is hydration and pH. Organisms, they live within us. There's millions of them living within us. There's a documentary either on Amazon Prime or Netflix, I can't remember which. It's called Life on Us, Microscopic Safari. And in that, they discuss, much to our surprise, all the little creatures that live within us. So watching that gives us a good perspective that we are not what we seem to be. So some of these organisms, they create some of our behavior. For instance, Candida. Candida is very common in the intestinal tract. And the proliferation of Candida causes cravings towards certain foods. So when I did a deactivating of Candida in my diet, I noticed that my desire to eat sweets was very different. So I have changed a little bit. I don't crave certain foods so much. So that's important to understand, that the needs of these organisms that live within us impact our behavior. And there's plenty of evidence in research that shows that for a fact. These are not theories. These are studies that have confirmed and confirmed studies. So diminishing candida, diminishing certain types of bacteria that live in the intestinal tract that are creating cravings and creating demands, can greatly improve our immune system. So what are some of the things that encourage candida? Anything that's sweet, including fruits. So there are some schools of thinking that said that red berries are the only fruits that we should eat on a daily basis, and just enough that fits in the palm of your hand. So you can choose, one day you eat a handful of blueberries, the next day you eat a handful of strawberries, the next day of blackberries, and so on. And you create a variety of antioxidants through the consumption of red berries as well, and you vary that consumption every day. As a rule, I do not eat fruit on an empty stomach, because if candida likes sweet, then sweet fruits of all types, if I eat that in an empty stomach, I am feeding the candida. I'm not feeding me, I'm feeding the candida. And that causes a proliferation of candida. And when there's a proliferation of candida, there may be an imbalance, more candida than the other, say, acidophilus or bifidum, which are more helpful, beneficial flora. They help to digest food better. So, because what happens in the intestines is absorption. So let's take a look at the intestinal tract. We eat, and there are enough digestive enzymes and processes, metabolic processes in the stomach, that starts breaking down what we eat. So that, we call the digestive ball, goes to the intestine. In the intestine, there's another variety of mechanisms that begin to further break down the foods and extract the nutrients. So if the walls and the villi, which is these little hairs that we have in the intestinal tract, if they're unobstructed, if they are clear, they start absorbing minerals and vitamins and all sorts of nutrients that are used then by our cells and our system to create amino acids. Amino acids are proteins that keep everything that we have, keep everything, keep our eyes, our hair, our cells, replication, all depend on amino acids. When amino acids are not sufficient, we start having health problems. So because of the absorption in the intestine, when there's a lack of absorption, when something is missing in the function of the flora of the intestine that is creating the health of the intestinal walls and the villi, absorptional villis, then there's issues, because if you don't have enough of the proper amino acids, which are the fundamental structures of cells replication, then we start having issues. For all of that to happen, we have to have a pH in our bodies that is conducive. Too much acidity interferes with the way that cell replication takes place. So there's so many mechanisms with how absorption and cell replication takes place. But one thing that stands out for me is the membrane of the cell. The membrane of the cell needs to have integrity. Otherwise, things penetrate in the cell. So in order for the membrane to be substantially formed, need to have a good pH, need to have the proper amino acids, the nutrients, minerals. And I mean, the repercussion of missing amino acids and minerals are many. With mineral, for instance, a lack of mineral because there's not proper absorption in the intestine will have an issue with the way your brain functions. Because in the electrical pulses of the neurons, so there's a charge that travels between the neurons and go to the dendrites and the uptake sites. All of those neural functions require minerals, because that's how electricity travels, right? We need minerals to conduct. So we need conductors. Minerals are conductors of the electrical pulses of our brain. When we don't have enough minerals, the pulses in our brain are not as optimum as we could have them. So it's super important for brain function for us to have enough minerals in our body. And we go back again to the flora. How is the composition of the flora? So when the flora is not in balance, and when there is a proliferation of candida, for example, the villi, the little hairs that absorb nutrients, they get covered up with a glove-like thing that we call biofilm. It's like a glove that covers the little fingers of the villi, and the villi cannot absorb properly. So in order for us to diminish that biofilm, we need to equilibrate the ratio of candida and other flora, other microorganisms like bifidum and bifidum or lactobacilli, for instance. There is many. So that's why when we are using a probiotic in the morning with an empty stomach, we are bringing up that population. We are supporting the population of the beneficial flora inside of the intestine. Now, to be more effective, let's say, I'm going to spend 3 months growing the healthy flora. I want to spend 3 months with this focus of developing a balance in my intestine. What do I need to do? First and foremost is hydration. We have to have enough water. Yes, enough water to keep on flushing. So we are flushing, because the stuff that the intestine is going to get rid of, like dead candida, is going to get out through our system. We need water to flush all of that. We need water to keep our our organs flushed. So water is key, as we know. And we're talking about 2 to 3 liters of water per day. And the one thing that I heard is some of the problems that we have with kidneys and adrenals and liver has to do with a lack of hydration, because these organs don't have enough fluid to do their functions. So focusing on equilibrating, creating a balance, bringing equilibrium into the intestine, dietary, very important to pay attention to diet. So diminish the amount of sugar, refined sugar. That's first step. And carbohydrates, they turn into sugars. So what's Candida's favorite food? Carbohydrates. So keeping a good balance. So 75% vegetables, 25% protein, very low carbohydrate. So that's for a period of attention that we're paying to ourselves, right? Let's improve the quality of our intestine by decreasing sugar, sodas, artificial drinks, artificial colors, candies, cakes, all the things that contain sugar. And even if it doesn't contain sugar, it becomes sugar. So sweet potatoes, we can have sweet potatoes 1 a week, not every day. And knowing that if you have sweet potatoes one day, you shouldn't be having mashed potatoes with it that day. So we need to pay attention to green vegetables. And once that equilibrium returns, the balance returns, we can party a little more, but go back to the wagon, because how we maintain a good amount of vitamins and minerals is providing the body with a good amount of vegetables, because that's where the best source of vitamins and minerals is green vegetables, is your kales, your Brussels sprouts, your broccoli, your zucchinis, your cabbages, everything that's green, your salads and your carrots and your cucumbers and so on. A great variety of vegetables. And one of my my favorite pastimes is count on my plate the variety of vegetables I have. And some days I get to 18. So I got really happy. And I count the parsley and I count the oregano and I count the basil. I count everything that's green, that comes from a green source. And so I'm very fond of creating what my husband calls big butt salad, meaning having power. And we put many things. We put shredded everything you can imagine, and nuts and seeds. So we can accumulate some 8 or 9 different types of vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, all chopped up in there. And then we pour that on top of a green salad, and then we make an avocado dressing on top of that, which is absolutely marvelous. And we eat avocados every single day because we eat that salad every day. It's a very crunchy, and we put in bacon on top, or little pieces of chicken, or people who eat tofu or tempeh, or a different type of protein, sometimes beans. black beans or red beans or chickpeas. And so we create a variety of raw foods, and then we also roast vegetables in the oven, the cruciferous. We'll do like cauliflower and kale and potatoes and carrot and Brussels sprouts and broccoli, and we mix with a little bit olive oil and a little bit of turmeric and a little salt and some herbs de Provence. Mix it all in and roast it in the oven 20 minutes on 350. And we keep that little container of roasted vegetables to put on top of our salads, on top of our, I love quinoa, and so I will do a quinoa fry with some eggs, and I'll throw some of those vegetables in there, and it's delicious. And keep a variety of vegetables cooked. Sometimes they are just steamed, and I keep them in the fridge to add on to my my eggs or my omelet. Yesterday I chopped up a bunch of kale, and I sauteed with a little bit of butter and a little bit of salt and pepper and a little powdered garlic, and I put it inside of an omelet, and it was absolutely scrumptious. So that is sometimes our breakfast, something that includes a green vegetable. And eggs are, they are kind of controversial, but my belief is eggs are great, and I eat them every day. And so this type of eating, taking away the sugars, taking away the excessive carbohydrates, will create a balance in your intestine, will develop your flora. When we add on the probiotic every morning on an empty stomach, we're talking about really a great first step towards creating an equilibrium that can help the pH. And with the hydration, we are going to improve liver function, and with the exercise, the extra exercise, we're going to create better sleep. So the more, if we have 8 hours of sleep, we are able to have more regeneration while we sleep. So that's when the cells, the brain, the metabolic processes are taking place and regenerating. And it's a systemic interaction, right? Different systems. We need to think of all the systems that make us function optimally, and creating balance and stability in our existence comes from thinking of the different systems that we need to bring balance to. How are we doing for time?
It's 1:02. 1:02.
1:02.
Other time.
Yeah, Amy has another webinar, so she left, and she said thank you.
If we have time and if there's a question, we can address that. If not, we'll continue next Wednesday, and I promise to be on time.
Well, I think we're good.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
information. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And next week, we'll talk a little bit about hormones, because I think that is another very fundamental piece, especially for us women.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Okay, how?
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey,
Hi, nice to see you for 30 seconds, Kim.
I finally got on there.
It's nice seeing everybody, and I'll see you guys next week. Yes, Nico, is that a good plan?
Yeah, it is. Thank
Great.
you. It's awesome.
All right.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. I hope you
Bye-bye.
have a health lunch now.
Yes. Talking about salad made me hungry.
Yeah, me too.